Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I'm going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 15, Crackpot, starring Biff McGuire as Ray Loomis, Mary Scott as Meg Loomis, and Robert Emhardt as Moon. And this is definitely one of the better Season 2 episodes so far. It's very fast-paced and entertaining, and the twist ending did surprise me, so a good job by the show there. Although I will say that the ending does bring up a few questions, which I will get through as I go through the episode. But overall, this is a very solid episode, although it is one of those episodes you kind of just have to go with and accept certain plot points for what they are. So we start with a pair of newlywoods. Their names are Ray and Meg, and they're our main characters. And it turns out they are on their honeymoon. But problems come because they have a flat tire. And it also turns out that they're lost. They took some kind of shortcut. They don't really know where they are. And it turns out the reason they took a shortcut is because it appears that Ray is definitely haunted by his aunt, who we find out later in the episode was murdered. So it seems like he was trying to avoid going by some kind of house where she lived or something like that. More problems arise when Ray tries to change the tire, but his spare is also flat somehow. Kind of interesting. But it seems like the couple is in luck because a car comes by and a man comes out and stops to help. This man's name is Moon. He's able to fix the tire enough, at least, that the couple can, drive to a station and get it looked at clearer. But at this point, everything's going okay. But as Moon's ready to leave, Ray kind of slips and he gets grease or something on the man's suit. It gets all dirty, and all of a sudden, Moon's nice mood changes very abruptly, and he becomes really mean. He flips out, and he threatens to kill Ray. He says, "I'm going to do you in at some point." So at this point, we go to the next scene, and Ray and Meg go to their hotel room, and we learn a little bit more about, what happened with his aunt as a sergeant comes by and questions him about some kind of bracelet that he thought might be connected to the murder. But it seems like nothing comes of it, at least that's what we think, until maybe the end of the episode, when we find out what really happened. At this point, I have to say that the episode is doing a good job of keeping the tension up and keeping things interesting. So Ray and Meg are in their hotel and they're chatting a little bit more about their future. You can see Ray's still troubled about that old house that his aunt lived in. We'll find out more about that later in the episode as well. And things just seem to be going okay overall with the couple until Moon comes by and says that he's staying in the next room, which seems kind of like a plot contrivance, but I will say that this does make sense, again, with the twist related to the end of the episode. So at this point, Moon is still acting weird. He says everything's okay. He shows his suit, which has been cleaned, which I thought was amusing. And he says it was just an accident and everything's okay. But he's still acting pretty strange. Ray also at this point says that Moon looks familiar to him, but he's not sure in what capacity. So at this point, Moon starts causing trouble. He starts banging on the walls and things like that. And then he starts blaming Ray for it. So basically, Ray confronts him at this point, but Moon has a gun, and he tells Ray he better leave or he'll do him in, basically. So Ray's now freaking out. He tells Meg they have to leave. He explains what's going on, and he says Moon must have been the one who killed his aunt. Even though his evidence doesn't really add up, Ray starts to get unsure of himself. Meg confronts him at this point, which doesn't really seem to work. Ray seems disturbed by this. Moon continues to play his games. Eventually, he comes to the room with a gun that he holds on Ray and Meg, and he says that he is the murderer, and they try and leave. He says basically that there's a bomb that's going to go off, and he's going to be able to get it out in time, but it will kill them. So at this point, he is attacked by Ray, who appears to knock him out. But then all of a sudden, Moon kind of gets up and holds a gun on Ray. This part was kind of weird, but you just gotta kind of go with it. I guess Moon played faking getting knocked out pretty well. So at this point, Meg runs to get the police sergeant, but it turns out that Moon is also part of the police, and it turns out that they knew all along that Ray was somehow the one that did his aunt in. So the whole time, Ray was really the villain, and Moon was a mislead. He was really in on it with the police force. So even though the end plot twist of this episode was effective on a dramatic level, I do think it brings up a few questions in terms of the plot. if you really believe that Ray did recognize Moon, he knew that Moon obviously wasn't the killer because he was. So at this point, was he just playing that up for his wife, playing along as a cover? But if that's the case, wouldn't he have been in more of a hurry to get out of there? He seemed pretty content to just stand by and let Moon play his game. And if he didn't recognize Moon, if he really thought Moon was trying to kill him, why? He knew that Moon wasn't the killer of his aunt. He knew he himself did it. So was he just losing it? I mean, what was going on? There's a few unanswered questions here. Others may find it to their satisfaction, but I did find some of the plot elements a bit strange. But still, Crackpot is a very fast-paced, sometimes exciting episode with very good acting. I especially really liked Mary Scott as Meg, and I felt bad for her character at the end of the episode. So overall, I'm going to give Crackpot a 3.5 out of 5. And I do recommend this episode for fans of the series. So 3.5 out of 5 for Crackpot. And as always, thank you very much for watching.